Welcome to the Killjoy After Party.
Think the fun is over once you quit drinking?
Think again.
We have a booze-free beverage shop in Nashville, and we hear stories from our customers all the time about how much better life is after booze.
And we're excited to share these stories with you.
And since this is Nashville, you bet your ass we're
making it musical.
Yeah, it tastes like sunshine, like a real good time, lifting my mood and it brightens my day. Yeah. Gonna rise and grow, no alcohol, get my sparkle low. Yeah. Gonna rise and grow, no alcohol.
Hi guys. Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to always see you guys and to be on your podcast. What a joy.
I have a hard-hitting question to come out with.
Let's go.
Is Kristen Bear your real name?
It is, in fact, my birth name. Yes.
Government name, yes.
Yeah.
That's
that
really
is
cool name. I thought it was a stage name.
Oh, no. It's been both helpful and harmful throughout my life, that name. I've been both celebrated and bullied for that name. So, you know.
How are you going to bully the bear?
You know, like when I was a little kid, I guess I had like kind of hairy arms. And there was a kid in my 5th grade class who started calling me Hair Bear.
Oh.
And they wrote it in a black Sharpie on my white backpack.
Aww.
So that stuck with me a little bit.
If John laughs hysterically at your trauma, does that make it better? Or?
Yeah. No, I have to laugh at my trauma. Always. That is my new coping mechanism now that I don't drink.
Right? Well, we got to laugh. And I'm probably going to call you Hair Bear at some point.
Please do.
It's going to slip out. Yeah, I will say it with love.
It's totally fine. I have worked through all of that, so we're good.
Do you now remove or bleach your arm hair?
No, I think I've just sort of grown into it. If that's a thing. I think that definitely when I was that age, when it was happening, I mean, I begged my mom to let me put Nair on my arms to get rid of it. I shaved.
Nair Bear.
Yeah, then I was Nair Bear. But then, of course, after I shaved them and came to school, then everyone made fun of me harder because they're like, oh, she shaved her arms because they're so hairy, you know?
So I just Googled, can you grow into your arm hair? There's a lot. There's a lot about that.
Oh.
Well, the reason I asked is because I know that you're a model. And I did some modeling when I was in my teenage years. And I had a roommate. Right after I graduated from high school, I moved to Atlanta to model. And I had a roommate who had dark hair. And I came back into the room one day and she was like naring her whole body. I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I just have dark hair. So I just like remove all of my body hair. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. So,
was she like in the living room? Like, did you walk in?
We lived in a hotel room.
Oh,
we lived in one room together.
Oh.
So it was a studio situation. I also was 16 years old.
Yeah. And when you're 16, everything is way more intense. Like, I'm sure up until I was probably in my 20s or whatever, I was still worried about the arm hair. And I don't know, like, what changed other than maybe it wasn't as dark or something. Maybe it just was, like, noticeable because I was a small child.
Then you realize, like, every person had a lot of arm hair, but they just...
Yeah. And then you find other things to hate about yourself. So it just becomes far, like, lower on the list of, like, problems, you know?
You just get more problems that are bigger. Yeah, sure. And then that one doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, you move on to bigger fish, you know?
So, Kristen, real questions. I would love for you to just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself so that people who maybe are not familiar with you can kind of learn who you are and a little bit about like what kind of work you do.
Sure. So, yes, my name is Kristen Bear. I am 38 years old. I grew up in East Tennessee, like a pretty small town, and lived there until I was in high school. And then my family moved to Oklahoma. Then in adulthood, I actually moved to LA right out of high school, like a complete psychopath, because I always wanted to be an actor and to get into that world, but I had no clue what I was doing. So it didn't really go that well that first try, but did end up in my early 20s getting scouted by this modeling agent. And so I did end up kind of getting into that world, and I moved to Chicago for a bit and then New York, and traveled to Asia for work, and got to experience some pretty cool stuff in the fashion world. And then, I kind of, after a stint in New York, decided to move back home to Tennessee and came to Nashville and started doing more acting. So like commercials and some small TV film stuff, music videos and all that jazz. And then I ended up going back to LA older and went to acting classes out there for a while, and then came back to Nashville in 2020. So kind of moved all over the place. But yeah, I ended up back in Tennessee in 2020, right before the pandemic. And I still do all of that work. But since getting sober in 2020, I also now do a lot of work in the sobriety space. Obviously, that's how we met. And I have a platform called Creative Sobriety on Instagram and Substack. And I do some podcasting as well. Yeah, I'm just kind of like honestly blown away at how this has become a whole new thing in my life, the sober girl, hype girl situation that I find myself in. But I love it. And I have like a lot of hopefully exciting things in the future coming with that. And I just love talking about being sober now, especially as a creative person. That's really dear to my heart. So
did you mean to become an influencer? Like, did you set out to become an influencer, or did it just sort of happen organically?
Yeah, definitely not. I started my page when I was probably a month or two sober, anonymously, as a way to just sort of stalk the other sober accounts on Instagram aside, so I didn't have to use my personal page, and I wasn't like fully out as a sober person. There was like all this weird stuff around it. So yeah, I started Creative Sobriety as just a way to maybe connect with other people who were sober. And then I started sharing my own thoughts and stuff and using it as a bit of a creative outlet in early sobriety. And it just started growing, and I started realizing that a lot of people resonated with what I was saying, and I met a lot of like-minded people on there. And so I got super bold, probably 4 or 5 months in, and posted my face on there and was like, this is who I am and this is what we're doing. And I guess we're doing it. And yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I definitely did not think I would be in that space at all.
One of the things that impressed me when we first met you or whatever, like I met you in person and you're very personable, but then I checked out your Instagram and like you were very diligent and like consistent about that. You were one of the first people that I met who was an influencer, I guess. So like your approach on that was very fresh for me. What are some kind of like tips you have to be consistent with your content?
Yeah, I think honestly, in the beginning, the consistency really was a source of accountability for myself.
Yeah.
And there was something that really clicked for me when it was like, I have to show up here consistently for myself to keep all of this information and all of these sort of mantras on my own mind. But then also I began seeing it as really like an act of service, which really bolstered my own like sobriety in a way, because it felt like I was doing something helpful, something useful with this thing that had been such a dark and heavy thing for me for so long. And so I think it was just a combination of like, if I can keep showing up here for myself, that's going to keep me sober. And also now I have a sense of I want to help other people, and I know that I need to show up for them too. And that's just sort of stuck. And I definitely go through periods where I'm just really overwhelmed and I have to take a break and clock out for a couple days, and I don't answer messages as quickly. But it's been the one probably most constant thing in my sobriety. And that's been really helpful to me.
It's probably been helpful to a lot of people, because it's got to be, at least for me, I haven't been sober nearly as long and haven't been doing it as long as you, but sometimes I get tired of talking about it. But it helps people so much. You know what I mean? Even if it's something that we take for granted, you know?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my favorite thing in the world is to meet people at Killjoy that know my page, and have followed me for a while. And I get to like meet them and talk about this stuff in person. And that just feels really powerful because, I mean, that's really the whole thing with the sober Instagram, is like connecting with people. It can be really isolating when you're newly sober and figuring out what that new life looks like for you. And so, yeah, it means the world to me. I mean, every message that I get, every person that I meet that has in any way been positively affected by creative sobriety is like, it's so much joy for me.
Well, I'm one of those people.
Oh.
And I did the same thing as you. So if anybody out there is like trying to think about getting sober, I created an anonymous Instagram and I only followed sober people and accounts that I found to be really uplifting. And instead of looking at my regular Instagram, I would look at that. And I didn't post anything. I was just on there lurking. But then when the stuff started going with Killjoy, I reached out to Kristen or somebody connected us. I don't even know how it happened, but I knew who you were because of sober Instagram. And she was like, yeah, let's have coffee. And then it was super encouraging for everything that I was doing and even volunteered to help at our first pop-up, greeting people at the door and serving champagne and stuff like that. So that was huge. That was so huge to have that support when I really couldn't afford to like pay someone.
No, dude, I was just so stoked to meet someone who was like doing the thing that we all really needed here. I just remember being so excited and being like, oh my God, hell yes. Like, this chick is doing it. Like, this is what we need. And how can I help? Let me help. Like, this is great. I mean, that just speaks honestly to like the sober community and, how exciting it is when you're inside of it and you're meeting other people and you're just like, yeah, dude, let's spread the word however we can. Like, this is a good message,
Yeah. Well, that's definitely advice that I would give to someone who's, trying to quit drinking and doesn't have that community, is that sobriety community can be amazing and hopefully that they can find, real life community. What advice would you give to someone who was trying to quit drinking?
Ooh, I think the first thing that I tell anybody who wants to quit drinking is you need to get really, really clear about why. And that's got to be, probably for anything you're going to do in your life as a positive change, you have to know why you're doing it. And you have to really believe that is going to be an upgrade for you. If you can attain that why, it has to feel like it's going to be a really positive change for you. So identifying why you want to do it. And then I think so much of it has to do with the information that we're taking in. So it's like, if you want to quit drinking, then you need to seek out and inundate yourself with positive information and content about quitting drinking to reach your desired results. So like for me, when I first quit, I already had a sort of bad taste in my mouth with AA and traditional recovery. I just knew it was not going to be my jam. It just didn't align with me. I couldn't get hyped about it. I couldn't get excited about it. And so I had to find voices and people who were talking about sobriety in a way that felt super fucking awesome to me. And so I went looking for that, and I found the podcast world and read some books and found sober Instagram and things like that. And I just constantly fed myself that material. And then it sort of gets locked in your subconscious, and I think that's how a lot of changes and habits get formed, I think it has so much to do with not only the content that you're consuming, but the environment that you're in, the people. You really have to take inventory of your life if you're going to make a big change and see where it is you're kind of setting yourself up for failure versus success. Sometimes that's the people you're spending your time with. Sometimes that's the places you're going with your free time, So getting really intentional, not future tripping. You've got to kind of keep it in the present moment and set yourself up each day to kind of have what you need to feel good about staying sober. And that can look super different for different people, I
love that. That's really good advice. And I think about that a lot because I think we don't realize, even if we get our minds right and we know our why, that the like culture at large can start to seep back in. So, I mean, for me, and like John talked about, I do wonder how people who are 10 years sober or whatever can continue making content about like sobriety as though it were brand new. But also I know that like we are constantly getting messages from society that's telling us, hey, alcohol has some benefit. Alcohol is sexy, and we have to kind of like always be vigilant against that messaging and keep our subconscious on the track of like, this doesn't hold any value. There's nothing good that comes from drinking, and all the good things that come from not drinking, which there's a lot of them.
Yeah. And I think too, just to add on to what you said about, being 10 years sober and coming up with new content, I think that is a really great way too of looking at sobriety in general, because you have to treat your sobriety almost like any important relationship. It's like you have to continually be growing within it, or else you are going to get to a place where it's no longer going to fit you. It's no longer going to feel supportive or exciting. And I think that's where a lot of people will risk kind of hitting, boredom or burnout and like all that stuff. So it's like, I think a big thing that I like to talk about in sobriety is just constantly be looking for new ways to express yourself, new ways to, do your work, do whatever it is that you do, exercise. Like you have to be open to new and constantly be looking for new in a sense. Keep your sobriety routine fresh, and I think the non-alc beverage world really helps with that. I mean, we can talk about Killjoy all day long. I mean, you guys have, I think, one of the best resources for sober people, which is that they can come in and literally get something new to drink every single week. I think it's with anything we want to be long lasting, like we have to be constantly investing in it and making sure we're not just kind of becoming stagnant, if that makes sense.
You posted something a while back and I like screenshotted it because it like resonated with me. And you said, my sobriety is an extension of my art. The way I romanticize the daily and the mundane is the key to my success. And to me, that like resonated so much because just as a creative, that's what we do. We like put the little shine on the mundane, which I think that's so important.
Oh my God. Yes. Well, first of all, that means so much to me that you appreciate that. I feel like when I'm not tapped into that, sort of like magical mindset of I can make whatever this is beautiful. When I step out of that, I think is when I get, my sobriety is probably challenged, more is because I'm not sort of living with that creative mindset. We hear a lot about creative mode versus survival mode. And to me, that can be applied to sobriety so easily because it's like when I feel like I'm in my creative flow, when I'm, doing the things that make me feel alive, that, are my version of art, whatever that is, even if it's cooking dinner, when I'm like really in the flow versus when I'm in survival mode and I'm just like white knuckling things and I'm not feeling like I have the time or those moments that feel creative. That reminds me of the old me when I drank to, sort of try and shake myself out of that kind of fear-based mindset. So I think staying creative for me is essential to staying sober. And I really do think every person is innately creative. I think it's stifled, as we get older and so many people forget that they can literally create anything they want. So I think tapping back into that, especially in early sobriety, is really the key to so much of that success.
I love that. And I think creating just for the sake of creation, like people don't need to see it. It doesn't need to be good. You just need to do it for you.
1,000%. I have so many notebooks and notes app entries that might probably get me locked up at a mental institution, to be honest. But, sometimes you just, you have to do it for yourself. And it's amazing how much of a difference it makes just to get some things out of you and kind of see it take form outside of your body. It's like healing, So speaking of something that you're creating, I know a little bit about the fact that you are building a tiny house, but not very much. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Sure. Yeah. So this is, another example of something that literally would never happen in my life had I not gotten sober. It was a combination of, I think, the pandemic and the aftermath of the pandemic and sort of what it did to my industry, and then where I found myself in my life at the time of just like, wow, I need to find a creative way to protect myself, to gain some sort of stability and still be able to pursue the creative work that I want to do. And so I settled on this idea of a tiny house, and then fell in love with the shipping container as the sort of structure of it. And luckily, I have a dad who is an engineer, and he was actually really excited to help me get it started. We bought the container. I think I got it in summer of 2021. And a lot of things happened in the last couple of years and sort of slowed down that process. But I bought a couple acres of land and we just moved it out there. So we're finishing it on the property where it will live. And it's getting pretty close. So it's been this really crazy, like, labor of love and like faith, because it's like I have no idea what I'm doing. Every step we're figuring it out as we go. But yeah, I'm excited. I want to have this little sanctuary in the woods where I can just kind of go and be still. You'll definitely get an invite when it's all done. You guys can come out and see it.
Awesome. I can't wait. That's just so cool. There's something very, I don't know, romantic to me about that.
Yeah.
Did you get your light pole situation figured out? That had me rolling when you went down to buy a light pole, talking to the lady. She was asking if it was for your husband or something.
Yeah.
You're like,
that's so funny.
nah,
Yeah.
for me.
I'm like, no, it's just me buying the light poles. Thanks. Yeah, it's so like where I'm building, it's in this really small town, and yeah, they probably don't get a lot of like single women coming in, like building homes by themselves. But it was just funny that her first question to me was like, is this in your husband's name? And I'm like, I got a husband, number one. So I hope not. But number two, like, why would that be a thing? Like, I'm here in front of you. My name is on this paper I just handed you. Like, why are you asking me that?
That'd be rolling.
All right.
Do you have a story about something wild and crazy or just super fun that you did stone cold sober?
Oh, wow. I feel like, I mean, I've had so many of those moments over the last 4 years where I after the fact will be like, holy shit, I just did that completely sober. Like, and I wasn't even thinking, oh my God, I'm sober. How scary.
Right.
It's so many things. I'm trying to think of like one big thing, traveling, like it's something simple, but like I went out of state for a New Year's Eve party. And to me, like doing that before I got sober, not drinking like all the way there the entire time and all the way back would seem impossible. I've been to so many shows and concerts, like completely sober, danced my ass off. I remember on my birthday a couple years ago being on Broadway. First of all, I don't know why I ended up being on Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah. That just
On your birthday.
I do not know. But we ended up on a, rooftop of one of those honky tonks, and we were dancing like insane people. And I remember this guy coming up to me. I was drinking a sugar-free Red Bull because that's all they had, I think. And I remember him coming up to me and being like, what are you on? And I was like, I'm drinking Red Bull. He was like, no, like, what drugs are you on? Like, can I have some? It was that kind of conversation. And it was just so funny to me. And my sister was with me and they thought it was hilarious. They were like, bro, this is literally the most sober girl here, So I don't know. It kind of like that gave me some kind of like ego of like, oh fuck yeah, like I don't need your drugs, bro. I'm just vibing.
That's an amazing story. I love that people are like, I want to be on whatever she's on, and you're like, yeah, I'm on life. I'm just raw dogging life, but
I'm on that brutally raw awareness shit.
Okay. Well, before we go into rapid fire, is there any other thing that you would like to talk about that you would like the people to know today?
Well, I mean, I guess I would like them to know that I would love to hear from them. If you guys want to connect on Instagram, please shoot me a message. I'm hosting a trip this fall that's still open for booking. If you are looking for a safe way to travel booze-free with some cool folks, and we're going to Costa Rica at the end of October, so there's still spots.
Nice.
Yeah, but all that stuff's online, and just reach out. I wanna meet ya.
Well, as you know, this podcast is not just a regular podcast. It's a very special musical podcast. And we're going to enter into the portion where we're going to ask you some rapid fire questions and we're going to take notes and then we're going to use some of the things that you've said to write a little song together.
Okay. All right. I'm excited.
First of all, do you sing?
Yeah. Do you sing?
I feel like you got a voice. I don't know.
Not well. No.
Perfect.
What's your favorite karaoke song?
Oh, I usually go for something real redneck, a little twangy, you know?
Okay.
I usually go with like some Miranda Lambert or like Redneck Woman by Gretchen Wilson. It really gets the crowd going.
Yeah.
That's what I'm there for.
Maybe we need to end our song with a big hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Okay. Now we're going into rapid fire round.
Let's go.
John, you start and then you go.
These are just first thing off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
Okay.
We're going to start easy, ease you into it. Favorite color?
Green.
Favorite animal?
Bear.
Most listened to genre of music?
Joni Mitchell? Is that a genre?
Ooh, yes.
Well, the next question is favorite band. So is that different?
Yeah, Joni Mitchell is my favorite artist of all time. Yeah.
What's your favorite alcohol-free drink right now?
Right now, I am on Curious Elixirs number 9, which is the new one.
I haven't had it. Am I the only person that hasn't had that?
Yeah, you got to get on it.
Because I didn't go to the event. Dang it.
What is your favorite feature of your own face?
Oh, God. You know what? I'm going to say my eyes because I have my grandmother's eyes.
Good answer.
Favorite nickname for Nashville?
Music shitty. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, that's it.
Fire.
I don't know. That's the first thing I thought.
That came up. I love it.
That's it. What's your favorite way to move your body?
Yoga. Hot yoga.
Hot
Yes,
yoga.
Lord. What do you do for fun?
I write. Maybe it doesn't sound fun, but it kind of is.
What's your favorite candy?
Gummy bears.
What kind of gummy bears?
Haribo. Classic, baby.
Yes. Good choice.
Do you have a favorite book? Desert Island book?
I think favorite novel, I'm going to go with The Alchemist. I reread it every year and it's so beautiful. And then Women Who Run with the Wolves. I mean, I pick it up literally every day of my life and look at some highlighted piece and it changes me all over again. I love that book.
I've seen you post about that and I haven't read it and I really need to.
You got to read it. I will drop a copy off to your doorstep because it's so important.
Wow. Okay, folks, he delivers the Women Who Run with the Wolves.
I will deliver it to you.
That's quite the service.
So good.
What's your favorite podcast?
You know, lately I have been listening to a lot of Smartless. I mean, I just think they're hilarious.
When you're cooking, most use spice. Seasoning.
Seasoning? I mean, is garlic a seasoning?
Yeah.
I mean, I use like fresh garlic. I put garlic in everything I make almost.
Okay.
I use a ton of fresh garlic.
I love it.
Can you play any musical instruments? And if so, which ones?
No, none.
All right, so here's what we're going to do now is we're writing a little song and it's a song about you. And we're going to write it together. So we'd love your input as we do this.
Yeah, so I'm going to play you 3 little beats that I make. I do it in the morning. Every morning I like to just make a beat for an hour. It makes the day go by better. So I got like some little beats laying around. Pick one of them and then we'll kind of write some words down on paper, maybe like poetry, and then we'll try to fit it to the music.
Okay.
Do we have like a theme to what we've been talking about? Believe it to
well,
achieve it?
there was believe
Is
it
that
to
the
achieve.
theme?
Some things that I took note of that while you were speaking earlier was believe it to achieve it.
Keep a magical mindset. The most sober girl in here. Haribo gummy bear. I'm trying to figure out how to make all that work.
Okay. What's anything rhyme with yoga?
Toga?
Choga.
I think you could rhyme sober with
Soba.
yoga.
You totally.
Yeah, totally.
Doing hot yoga, dancing on rooftops sober.
Sober. I love that. Doing hot yoga, dancing on a rooftop sober. I feel like we could use maybe 2 more lines. The most sober girl in here. She's a Haribo gummy bear. I'm from Tennessee. This is going to be hard. Doing hot yoga, dancing on a rooftop sober.
And then is this the chorus?
Yeah, if we could find something to tie in to believe it to achieve it, like 2 lines to set that up, I think would be good.
What about like something she wants you to know the party's not over? You could put that at the end there.
I love that.
If that helps.
I like that better than
Doing hot yoga?
yeah. Party's not over, dancing on rooftops.
Love that.
Sober.
Love that.
Something about it could end in shine and then rhyme with curious number 9.
Ooh.
Nice.
Give
Give the mundane some shine.
Oh, yeah, give the mundane some shine.
Yes.
Sipping
Mundane
on curious number
some
9.
Shine. Sipping on curious, which I've yet to try, and I'm not upset about it at all. Curious number 9.
You gotta try it. Do you guys have them in the store yet?
We will soon.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah.
What flavor is it?
It's like a fizzy rosé. For me, it hits the vibe of like a natty wine, which I've always wanted to find.
Yes, right. That was the end of my drinking. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't be chasing the natural ones.
I went down a natty wine hole.
Yes.
Well, now we're at natty wine hole.
Yeah.
So believe it, we'll just play it and find some melodies. I'm trying to call and response it. I don't really know what's going to happen.
Okay.
Oh, God. Strap in.
Strap in. She's the most sober girl in here. She's a Haribo gummy bear. The party's not over, 'cause we dancing on the rooftop sober. Give the mundane some shine, yeah. Sipping on curious number 9. Believe it to achieve it. Keep a magical mindset. Believe it to achieve it. Keep that magical mindset. Don't lose it. Keep that magic mindset.
You got it.
Don't lose it. Keep that magic mindset. Don't lose it.
Put it in your pocket.
Keep it with you. Keep it with you. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I am honored. I am flattered to have
Well,
this
it's going to be your
song.
theme song now. So when you walk into
Great.
it, play. Probably.
Great. Awesome. I've needed a theme song now for a while, so I appreciate that. I can't wait to post it on every one of my posts. It's going to be my audio.
The background on.
Yes. It's going to be trending. People start posting it everywhere.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for creating something with us today. It was fun to be in that space with you.
Thank you, guys. The pleasure is all mine. Always happy to see you.
All right, friends, go follow Kristen Bear at Creative Sobriety on Instagram. She has a trip coming up to Costa Rica. How fucking cool is that?
Yes, come with us.
And she said there's other exciting stuff on the horizon, which we didn't get into, but I am curious. Maybe next time. I feel like this is the beginning of a conversation. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. We don't know how to end this.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Sparkle,